So we're here with the great Lina Khalifeh. How are you doing, Lina? Thanks for joining me.
Oh, great. Thank you so much,
Did I
Fatima.
pronounce that properly?
Yes, you did.
Okay. It's not a ha, is it? It's a ka.
Sakha.
Ha.
Khalifa. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. So congratulations on your book.
Thanks.
Here
Thank
it
you.
is. I love the cover. And if I'm not mistaken, in the eyes is like a Taekwondo person, right?
Yeah.
That
If you pay attention, you would see it.
Yeah, it's so awesome, Lina. So this project is about identity, and something that I learned about you is that you're actually Palestinian, not Jordanian. So is that something that you really identify with?
So originally, I'm Palestinian, and I visited Palestine twice in my life, but my grandfather was an immigrant in 1948 to Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
So we're still considered, even though I'm third generation, I'm Jordanian. I have the Jordanian citizenship,
Mm-hmm.
but they still treat us based on who our father, a grandfather, and where they come from.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say I'm originally Palestinian, but I
need your consent on a few items to.
Just a second. I don't know. My mobile it keeps talking to me. I don't know how
Online
to.
shopping?
Yeah, I need to keep it away from me.
Yeah.
So I did not know I will be treated as Palestinian. I thought because I never been really. I've been a few times to Palestine, so
Yeah.
I cannot really say I'm purely Palestinian because I never lived there.
Mhm.
It's just I'm Jordanian Palestinian.
Okay, that's fantastic. And you kind of mentioned in your book, like I think you just kind of touch on that topic of maybe feeling a little bit of discrimination from the federation, the Taekwondo federation that you were in, and this about being Palestinian. Is that something that is very very common?
Yes, there's a lot of discrimination in sports, unfortunately, and especially in countries like tribal countries where they want their people to rise and shine. So I started feeling the discrimination once I joined the federation, not in my dojo, the one I was training at, but when I joined the federation, I realized they have their agendas and they want certain players to represent the country while not focusing on the team as a team, focusing on, few people in an indirect way, but mentioning that we are training a team.
Mm-hmm.
But they decide ahead of time who's the ones that will represent the country and join international and Olympic championships.
Mm-hmm. And how did that make you feel? Did that give you a little bit of like resentment towards that particular identity? Did you start going around saying I'm Palestinian?
No, I was trying to prove myself. I thought it's just the way I prove my skills and abilities in the federation. And I thought if I trained hard or if I showed up on time, if I showed, I was a very disciplined student. And I realized later on, it doesn't matter if you're a gold medalist or if you're a silver medalist or, even like bronze, whatever, even if you're disqualified really to play that match, they have the power to get you back, and they have the power to choose, and they have the power to fire you. So it took me a while. I had like my fight with the federation stayed for years, but then at a certain point, it's not that I gave up the fight. I got an injury which made me give up the fight.
Right.
It's like a sign from God or the universe, like stop fighting people that wouldn't appreciate and know your worth. And it was a sign that Taekwondo is definitely not my path. I thought it was, but then because as humans, our vision is limited to what our, like, to what abilities we have or what we can, you know, contribute with our skills. But then when life knocks you down and throw you off this path, you realize you have to do something to get back on track, but not the things you were doing, like for example the taekwondo or the fights. It wasn't my destiny.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned power a lot there, and like empowerment. Um, can you explain the difference of women's legal rights in Jordan and in Canada, for example?
There's a big difference. We cannot even compare. We always say that you cannot compare Jordan with Canada. For example, in Canada, having a second wife is a crime. If you're married twice, it's a crime. But in Jordan, you're allowed up to 4 wives.
Mm-hmm.
So any
well, people might argue with you there that that's a religious freedom, perhaps.
yeah.
But
It's
continue.
yeah, it's like following religions, um, like following religion in what in women's rights is totally not fair to women.
Mm-hmm.
But if you argue there, they would tell you women, you know, the men are responsible for women and they should be the providers for women, and women should not negotiate or complain about it because men would provide them with everything. So it's a patriarchal society,
Right.
where men feels in, like, I always imagine this, like men there, they have all their rights. Even if they want to get a divorce, for example, in Canada, if a husband decided to divorce his wife, the wife takes 50% of his net worth. That's what I know. But in Jordan, nothing. She takes nothing. she
Oh, wow.
she even has to pay money sometimes to get that divorce. So the man would not divorce her until she goes to the court and say, you know what, I don't want anything from that man. And a lot of men would do that. They would pressure the woman to go to court, so they will even not pay $100 a month to provide her and, let's say, her children.
Mm-hmm.
So I cannot even compare it. It's definitely not fair for women, but a lot of women who never faced any problems don't know their rights and don't know the rules for women and the legal rights for women. But once they start facing problems, they started understanding that it's not fair for women, and they're going to end up with a losing battle against men.
Mm-hmm. I think you once told me that something about a woman not being able to travel if her dad didn't allow her to.
Oh yeah, that's another rule. It's for daughters and fathers.
Okay.
So if your father said you're not allowed to leave the country, he can put your name on the borders.
Mm-hmm.
And if you try to travel without his will, they would stop you on the borders and send you back home. So if you're, let's say, if you're 40 years old, they still can do that. So technically, you belong to
40.
40.
Wow.
40. So technically, you belong to the father. You belong to any man in a patriarchal society. So if a man and a father can put the name of his daughter on the borders in one night, like in a night, like if it's let's say 7 p.m. now and he calls, he can put his and he can put the daughter's name that night on the border. So she would not. And I had a lot of girls who wanted to escape the country for different reasons because of the oppression of women. They could not, because if the father knew about it, or if someone told him, he would not just threaten the girl to kill her, but just to make sure he puts her name on the borders. So she cannot even travel, even if she is an American citizen or Canadian citizen. She's not allowed to travel and leave that border. She still belongs to the Jordanian as a Jordanian citizen.
Wow. So tell me about the psychology of women, because you are someone who travels around globally and you train women in different countries. And so the emotional needs of women, does it vary from country to country?
The emotional needs?
Like I mean, the psychological barriers or the
Oh, yeah.
limitations that they might have.
Yes, for sure. For example, in the Middle East, women believe a lot in religion. So
Mhm.
whatever religion says, they follow it, they don't discuss it. In other countries where women are, where there's less, I would say, less religious background, they would be probably like Christian, but not, they're not really following the religion. Women would demand their rights. For
Mhm.
example, in Africa, women demand louder their rights, even though it's still, we still hear of a lot of domestic violence and violence against women in that continent.
Mhm.
But there are more fighters than the Middle Easterns, because they can. It's just a nature, you know. It's a nature of the culture.
Mhm.
For example, in Jamaica, women would, yeah, like different continents, different. Like if you go to Asia, where women are shy, so they would not, they would follow the culture, and they would not discuss a lot their rights. Or, but you can find that, and you can find equal rights in advanced countries like Hong Kong. They even have more female labor force than men. It's like 55% or something,
Mhm.
females, while
Yeah.
Jordan is like 12%
Mhm.
females of the labor workforce. So it's a big difference. Is it like we say education influence how women think, or the culture? I would find that culture is way stronger than education,
Yeah.
because even if women get educated, they belong to that culture at the end of the day, and they want to fit in.
Mhm.
So, and they want to, you know, they want to have a social life, they want to have a community. So they would give up a lot of things for order to fit in, to have a life. So that's what's happening. I mean, it's not about getting master degrees or PhDs or getting your education from abroad or getting more educated. The culture is way stronger and
Mhm.
influences more women and men in that society.
Mhm. And so that just, I mean, must have been and obviously was very challenging for you. You having the first self-defense studio. Um, Now, I am somewhat well versed with the challenges you had, but I'd love to hear you kind of talk about your process and the kind of challenges that you faced.
Yes, I faced definitely like, you know, starting a self-defense studio for women or any kind of martial arts or any kind of movement for women in the Middle East is very challenging, because you have the women who doesn't believe that they need to change, or because how did they know? They never leave that area. If you
Yeah.
think about, like, if you travel, you would have your mind will expand, and you will ask yourself questions. How come women speak up in this country while our country women don't speak up? But women that never left, how do
Hmm.
you expect them to be fighters and demand equal rights? It's so
Hmm.
hard, unless someone like me would come and open their minds and eyes on the situation, and then they start questioning and thinking about it. But a lot of other women don't want to think about it because it's easy not to think and just follow the system.
Right.
So I faced a lot of challenges from men and women. Men would be threats. Women would be, they're afraid to leave their comfort zone.
Hmm.
So they would argue with me to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing, and to tell me that you're representing the country in a bad way, because like women, you're saying that women need self-defense because it means Jordan has domestic violence. I'm like, yeah, Jordan has a lot of honor crimes and domestic violence.
Yeah.
It's just I'm the one who's talking about it, and you're the ones who's not willing to talk about it. So you would face a lot of resistance from men and women. You just need to surround yourself with a support system, and women and men who support you, and keep going. But you're gonna face a lot of hate, and a lot of people would step in your way because they want to represent the country in a better way, while you're trying to show the weaknesses of the country, but trying to work on the weaknesses, but they don't want to work on that.
Right. So obviously you must have a very strong visualization process. Could you tell me how you train your brain to stay focused amongst all these challenges?
Yes, mind training is very important, and I always say that you should have inner and outer discipline. So the inner discipline would be you have to work on your brain waves and your brain and your thoughts, and you have to keep your thoughts, because words and thoughts would become things, and if you let it influence your life, it will become your life. Whatever you say, whatever you feel, whatever you talk about, it will become part of your life. So you have to really be careful of the thoughts that are in your brain, and what quality of thoughts, and what information, and what darkness you have in your mind, or it's like very psychological mind training. But at the same time, every entrepreneur should have should think about growing their brain to be more positive and not negative. And you cannot just focus on the failures and rejections, while focusing on the vision and the path, your path. So try to, it's a discipline, it's training. Nobody's born with just a clear mind, but you have to get to clarity in order to see where you're heading.
So do you have a routine that you do in the morning daily?
A morning routine, I would wake up, write my dream. That's number one, because the more you try to remember your dream, the more you are stimulating the part of your brains for creativity and imagination and memory. So if you don't remember your dream often, try to practice remembering the dream, because you are working on the memory in your brain. And this is good for even like brain health, like for if Alzheimer or any kind of brain problems like dementia in the future, you already worked on the memory inside your brain every single day, remembering your dreams. Number two would be, I would exercise in the morning. Either, if we're staying at home, it's at home, or I would go for a run. And then I would take a shower. I would write my thoughts. I would write my goals, and I would start working. And before I go to bed, it's definitely like meditation, something slow. I would stretch, meditate, remind myself of why am I blessed at the moment, and talk to God for guidance. It's important to communicate with God and angels every single day for guidance, because we are all human beings and we have limited potential. But if we ask for guidance every day, we get that. But if you neglect talking to God or talking to the angels or asking for anything on a daily basis, and after 6 months you say, I'm not getting what I want, but you never asked for it. So try to do that as part of a practice. Just sit in a meditation pose, and if you want to pray, but I mean, it's separate than praying, because you are asking for specific things. So just talk to God like you're talking to your friend, and say, be vulnerable, and just show your strength and weaknesses, and just be completely visible to God, and just say, I'm open to opportunities. I'm open to take whatever now comes to my life. I understand that this economic situation is there, but it's not going to affect me because I know I'm on a different mission. It's just talking to God for guidance and support and for growth. So it's important. So I do that on a daily basis. Sometimes I forget, but
Yeah.
but I try to stay connected.
So powerful. That is awesome.
Thanks, Fatima.
You are a really great public speaker, and I mean, almost everyone I know has a fear of public speaking. So how did you get really good at that?
Practice. Exactly how they practice boxing, you know, fighting, it's practice. Public speaking is all about practice, and you have to love it. If you don't like it, how come you my phone keeps talking. if you don't like it, how come you're gonna get better at it? You have to love what you do.
So when you say practice, do you mean like practice your speech by yourself, or do you go out there and start just doing speech after speech in an audience?
So different ways. I practice in different ways. If I have a speech coming up, like let's say I know the date, I know the time, I write it down. I write it down on a piece of paper, not on typing, but write it down because I would remember it better. I'm good in memorizing all my speeches, even if it's 45 minutes, even if it's 1 hour. I'm really good in memorizing, at least memorizing some points and then talking about different stories. You cannot really fully memorize the whole story unless you are good in memorizing. Like I heard that one time I was having a speech last year in November, and every person who did deliver a speech, they had a presentation in front of them, like in the back of the audience, that showed the speech that they were going to talk about. So they were reading. But I'm the only one. Everybody kept looking. Is she having her speech written? Because I'm supposed to speak for like an hour or something.
Okay.
And everybody was like completely shocked. There's one woman who told me there was nothing there. I said, yeah, I memorized it. And she's like, how come you memorize it? I'm like, I'm good in memorizing. It's also because I remember my dreams. I'm good in memorizing. I memorize like poetry. I said poetry on that day. It's nice also to think about public speaking, not just as I have to go, I have a task, I have a presentation to deliver. No, make it entertaining for people. Yeah. You know, if you have quotes, start with quotes. If you have a funny story, share a funny story. Yeah. If you're good in poetry, say, you know, mention poetry during your speech. It will make people remember you and remember what you are talking about. I think I just developed the skill in public speaking by never rejecting an offer in public speaking. That's number one. You cannot say no to any offer, because every offer for me was a practice. And I said, it's okay, go talk to this school, it's a practice. Go talk to this company, it's a practice. And every time I would practice a new skill. Like, for example, I never said poetry before. Now I'm saying poetry. Maybe you would like to sing. If you have a good voice, you can do that. I mean, public speaking, there's the nice thing about it. It's not like stand-up comedy where you have to make people laugh, and people are there just waiting for a funny story. Yeah. No, it's open. Public speaking is open. You can talk about politics, and you can talk about serious topic, and talk about, you know, a funny topic at the same time. Yeah. and make people connected. That's why I am just in love with public speaking. The way you can just flow between topics and how to entertain and keep the audience connected.
Yeah, I can see how that would be a lot of fun. Everyone kind of grooving with you and being on that journey with you. You know, that sounds very corny, for lack of a better word. So, you know, what really strikes me in your book is that it seems like every time you kind of were leveling up and stepping into a new phase in your life, it seemed like there was always someone there to give you a very hard time.
Oh, yeah.
And how is it now in your life?
It's still It's still the same. I look at my life as different levels or chapters, and sometimes I feel like I'm flowing with life, like the way you are good in surfing the wave, and you'll be like that expert, and you're like, oh, I got my life figured out.
Yeah.
Now I'm good, and something happens. And then when something happens, you start questioning again. I think my life has always been ups and downs a lot, like a roller coaster, because I was on that path and mission to question what's next for me. How can I serve the people better? I provided my service. What else I can do? And I kept questioning, what can I do next? Is there more to grow my mind and spirit? Is there more for me? Or I'm stopping here. And every day I wake up and I say, I'm still alive. So it means I'm still on that path of questioning. And I would call it, do you know how, you take a deep breath and then you hold it and
Mm-hmm.
then you release? Sometimes I'm in between, in that hold where you hold your breath like
Yeah.
this. I'm there, and I'm on an intersection, and I don't understand where I'm heading, where I'm going, why I feel what I'm feeling. It's just a strong feeling that would tell me, get off your path right now and change it and go do something else. And I always struggle. I had a fight with myself mostly. By the
Mm-hmm.
way, the most fights I had or I still have is by myself.
Yeah.
Is with myself. I always see myself as two different people. One that follows exactly the feelings, but the feelings are not clear. And the other one would be fighting for growth. And then the feeling would say for the kind of the other person, you know, just don't question, follow your feeling. And the other person is being realistic and is fighting for like, oh, I need to settle down, I cannot keep doing this life, I need to have an income, and I need to do this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And this feeling is just distracting me again and again and again. So it's just a fight with myself. That's why I started even drawing a comic.
That's your drawings. Is that
uh,
you? That's
yeah, that's so yeah, I want to, I did not like launch that project yet, but I'm planning to do it, which a comic superhero called SheFighter. But SheFighter, her biggest enemy is herself, and her name is Doubt. So every once in a while she would meet Doubt, and she would go in a huge fight with Doubt, because Doubt is making her weaker, and SheFighter is trying to rise with her strength.
mm-hmm.
So it's an interesting mental health comic, and and it's different because also SheFighter is a non-binary character.
Okay.
So she's considered a female, but at the same time she's not really a female. Like she has a,
Kind of
she
like
looks like a tomboy.
like you for I don't
Yeah,
know.
exactly. And she was raised in a very patriarchal society, and so it's a very interesting character. It's a new superhero character, but I would show the kids that it's okay to fight, to have doubts. It's okay to, yeah, but it's just a journey of a series. But I'm still, I need like funding to. I realize it costs a lot of money to just go through the whole thing,
Yeah,
but definitely it's on my list to finish it. But I started at least drawing the characters.
that's awesome. I didn't know you were, yeah, you're very multi-talented lady. Uh,
Yeah.
do you find that your speeches, or when you have those opportunities, is it a spiritual experience for you?
You mean the speech?
Like going through the process of like preparing a speech and then being on stage and delivering that speech and connecting with the audience.
Oh yeah. I would always, yeah, when, the thing that I love about public speaking is that you're in the present moment. You cannot think about yesterday or tomorrow. It's like sports. When you are on a motorcycle, you cannot think of yesterday because you're going to crash. You cannot talk even, and you cannot think of the future because you have to be 100% focused on the road, or else you will crash if you get distracted. It's not like driving a car. It's staying focused all the time on the present moment. And that's what I love about public speaking. I
have to ask you though.
Yeah.
What do you do about those nerves? Because you've talked in front of some large audiences with very prestigious people, and that could freak a lot of people out.
Yeah, I prepare myself mentally before. So I talk to myself in front of the mirror. Okay. It's like you're speaking on that stage exactly like other leaders, so you're in that position. Mm-hmm. So don't forget that. Number 2, you're gonna steal the show. It's gonna be it's not gonna be the same boring topics they expect.
Yeah.
You're gonna keep the audience interested all the time.
That's a lot of self-positive affirmation.
Yes. So I do that to myself before I would go on stage, let's say the night before I sleep. So I have sometimes I don't have a good sleep because it depends on how big the stage and who's attending.
Yeah.
But I'm always excited to speak in public because I know my words would make change, at least if they forget, because people would forget about like people would get excited at the moment, like we want to contribute to your work, but after 1 week they would forget about it. But at least they will not forget your name. So wherever you go, like I had this experience where I spoke in Davos, and there was this wealthy woman from these top leaders who owns a huge business in the world. And she promised to work with me at that moment. But then after a week, she was excited for a week, texting me, emailing me, and then suddenly she disappeared. Because those people are always in conferences, and the next topic would be more interesting than this topic because they forgot about it. But I saw her again in another event. She was another conference she was attending, and I forgot her name, but she did not forget my name. So she stopped me. I was going for lunch, of course, and she stopped me and she's like, "Lina, how have you been?" And I was trying to remember where I met her. So I said, at least she remembers who I am. I don't remember who she is. That's the most important thing about your presence. If you're standing there, you need people to remember who you are, not just a topic you talk about. It's okay if they did not contribute. It's okay if they gave a promise and they never fulfill it, which is, by the way, 99%. They would give you a promise and they never fulfill it. Right. I've been to huge conferences and I expected them to contribute to my work in some way, at least 1%. But they were like empty promises. So I decided to start talking about giving promises and not fulfilling it at the end of my speech. I would say, listen, you heard me, and if you got excited and you want to give a promise tonight, you better fulfill that promise, or else do not come and talk to me.
I love that.
Yeah, and people were so interested, about, oh, we love that you said that, because it is so true. A lot of people would give promises, but then they don't keep it. I mean, they get busy. It's life. But just don't give promises to entrepreneurs. I mean, if I was in their position, and if I will be one day in their position, I would then go to entrepreneurs who are looking forward for collaborations and growth. And I would say, you know what, I will make your work, big, and then disappear. Stop answering.
Nice.
I mean, you have to be very reliable. You cannot be a reliable person. So
I love how you say it, and you set an expectation, and what it does is just filters out those people that are going to waste your time and waste their time. So I think that really sets a high standard of you knowing your value, and then other people seeing that that is just it's a really powerful thing.
Yeah.
So Lina, how important is your social circle, and how many close friends do you have?
That's a good question. I do have my network, and I'm blessed to have the SheFighter network. We connect now on Zoom we are on also Slack, if you know that.
Slack. I've never
Slack.
heard of that.
It's like Slack. It's for, it's like a kind of community, but you share everything. If you want to send so it's your community. So you add all, let's say, your network there. And for example, yesterday I just posted, I need help in translation from English to Arabic, volunteering. And everybody was like, because I have a network, all these women, they probably are lawyers, and a lot of women started saying, I have free time, I can volunteer. When is the deadline? And they just love that, network, community where you can just say, I can't pay for this work. Can you do it for free? And a lot of women and even men would love to contribute for free if you ask directly from your network. So my network is definitely very important to me to keep me going. And now with the online, it's even better. Close friends, it's it's hard. I have few close friends. I would say maybe one or two. And unfortunately, because I travel a lot and I leave the country, I left Jordan, and there's a few friends there, but they kind of stopped talking because of the distance. So we talk less, but we're still friends. In Dubai, I have friends, but we talk less because of the distance. We talk at least once a week. But at the moment, because I moved to Toronto, I moved back to Toronto last year, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So I have few friends here, but I wouldn't just call them close friends yet, because they're just out and about, and they like to hang out, and they're young. That's also usually my friends either around my age or older. I love to just talk to them about deep things that happens with me and talk about deeper topics. While I realize this, a lot of people don't like to talk about deep things, don't like to talk about things that they don't understand. So yeah, it's
And throughout your process of growing, did what happened with your social circle? Did people get uncomfortable with the things that
yeah, that question, yeah, for sure. I lost a lot of friends because of that. I don't, I would never they were friends for a certain moment. They served what they had to serve at this moment, and then they completely disappeared, like energy disappeared. Like you didn't even think about them or crossed your mind. They completely disappeared from your path. And then I started questioning, is every person coming in our life serving a moment for our growth and their growth, and then leaving, not continuing the path? I started questioning many things. I realized, yes, there's when the energy completely vanish with those people, it means that they moved on and you moved on. If there's still energy, it means that the mind is still thinking about it and thinking about them, and they're crossing your mind. They probably have some thoughts about you. But when it's completely cleared, it means the energy is cleared. And you attract other people. You have the people that you want in your life. So yeah, it's definitely we're definitely we're gonna have friends in and out every once in a while. So it's totally fine.
And what are your future plans with SheFighter and your personal life now? Are you sticking around in Toronto for a while?
So it's online. I think I'm providing Zoom, but now I'm packaging all the courses to be provided online, like with a subscription and membership, where they can get the training from me, but at the same time they have access to all the online training. I would definitely stick to connecting with the community on Zoom, and I'm planning at some point to have a virtual SheFighter summit.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, but definitely I need to plan that, because I never done that. And but it's possible, everybody can do a virtual summit. Yeah. And like having like you, Fatima, come speak on that platform where, let's say, 100 women attending, and it's amazing. Like
Oh,
it
that'll be
would
so much
be,
fun.
yeah. So yeah, I do have some like plans, but because it's all technology and it's all new to me, I'm
Yeah,
still like,
old
if
school. You're like
we're
penny.
old school. Yeah. I mean, it's good that I have a website. And no,
Hear
not
you.
just a website, you have to have everything,
Yeah.
everything. Like you send PDFs online, yeah, but do you love online a lot? I mean, I'm not.
No, I wish I never, if I could never go on social media again, I would love that.
Me
It
too.
takes a lot of psychic space for me personally.
Yeah. Yeah,
Lena,
me too.
now
Old
I want
school.
to know. I want to know. We went out for sushi once, and I saw you a little bit of a picky eater. So, what
By the
is?
way, that sushi opened again. They have
Oh, it did.
tables inside. Yeah.
Oh,
They did.
what is your favorite food?
My favorite food. I love seafood. I
Okay, so
love seafood.
it
I
is
love like shrimps. I love fish. I love lighter, um,
lighter.
like lighter food. Where it's
Oh,
not
okay.
heavy. Like for
You
example,
don't
like
like
it would
shawarma?
digest. Like it would digest faster. Like
Okay,
for example, I don't like to eat a lot of red meat, but if it's there, I eat it and then regret it.
doesn't make you feel good.
It doesn't make me feel good. It just takes too much time to digest, and it would affect how I feel all day. It's like too heavy. I find it too heavy in the stomach. Chicken, I depends if like there's a lot of pepper on it, but definitely a lot of fruits. A lot of fruits. I'm a fruit eater. I can eat fruits all day,
Yeah.
and a lot of and vegetables depends, because some vegetables make me really bloated. um, but I'm very picky because I try to listen to my body more, what I need,
Yeah.
especially nutrients at the moment. Like for example, women goes into this hormonal changes during the month. So before the period, I need something sweet.
Who doesn't? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like if I go to and eat a waffle with like a Nutella, and I would do it. I would listen completely. But I follow a diet. I think some people would call it a diet. It's for me, it's a lifestyle. So I would eat mostly during the day, and after, let's say, 5 6 p.m,
Mhm.
nothing. Like I would have a very very light um, meal, or like salad or fruits.
Mhm.
So I believe in going to bed light for my dreams to function better, and I would not be interrupted by my stomach when I'm sleeping.
That's interesting. So, like,
Yeah.
I guess people neglect that the diet and foods really affect your spirituality as well.
Oh yeah, it's
Um,
very important, especially before bed. I mean, the heavier you eat, if you eat a huge meal before you go to bed, you're gonna feel like
I can have
heavy.
nightmares like that. Actually, it's strange.
In Ramadan in Islam, they eat at night, and I always struggled, always, because life will start in the night, and you eat a lot of sweets, you eat big meals. And then I said, okay, that's it, no more, because I never slept because of the food. So I said, okay, I'm gonna stick to soup,
Yeah,
some
reverse Ramadan.
salads, and no sweets at night.
Yeah, that's really funny. Lena, thank you so much.
No, thank you,
It
Fatima.
was a pleasure. I can't wait to see you again and to connect with you again and encourage people to buy your book. And I would love to have you make an appearance at the gym.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Provide so much value and a different perspective on things. Very refreshing. A lot of I find you to be uniquely spiritual, and I think that only comes from a tremendous amount of personal struggle and personal pain, I suppose, and
yeah,
really needing to discover or create a new path for yourself, and spending a lot of time alone and speaking to God. So I think a lot of women can learn from that. I personally tell people to get lonely instead of, you know, searching for
Yeah.
someone or something to give them that power. What would you say about personal power, Lina? What's your advice?
Personal power. Definitely connect to the force or God, or just believe that there is, you know, something out there taking care of us.
Mm-hmm.
And when you feel that way, you feel more powerful. You feel that you're confident because everything in your life is taken care of. So you don't worry too much, you don't stress too much, you don't feel anxiety, because you always have kind of this attitude that no matter what happens, everything is taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we come to earth, to life, with angels, and angels are there to guide us.
Mm-hmm.
So they never left us. Since we were born, they've seen us in all our, you know, transformation from being a baby to being a teenager and so on. They've seen us when we were weak, when we were doubting ourselves, and they were the voice and sound, and they were there to comfort us and lead us into a better direction. So I believe they do exist.
Mm-hmm.
I rely a lot on their guidance and God's guidance. And when you feel totally and believe that you're taken care of by God, you're gonna be fine no matter what happens to you. Whatever, like if you lose a job, or you feel like, you know, life is not being fair to you, anything that would happen, you always have to have this attitude that, you know, everything is gonna be all right and you are taken care of.
Mm-hmm. That's so beautiful. Thank you so much, Lina, and
Thank
can't
you,
wait
Fatima.
to connect with you again.
Yeah, same here.
All right, take care now.
Yeah, you too.